That's because you fool with it too much. You're like, Don, you click happy.
I'd like to call the September Facilities Management Committee meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and start with a roll call.
Yes, good evening, Mrs. Babin.
Here.
Mrs. Bourgeois.
Here.
And Mr. Lafone. Here. You have a quorum.
Item 2, we're going to go ahead with Dawson, Holloway, and Cortez. We're going to start A, Mr. Justin Cortez, to receive a report on the St. Charles Elementary School classroom edition. Mr. Cortez.
Hello, board members. How y'all doing this evening? I've got a quick report for St. Charles, the status of the construction happening on that site. We are currently contract percentage paid and pending at 10.69%, with 27% of the time elapsed on the project. Some key things that are going on: the contractor is currently submitting shop drawings. The design team are reviewing those. Contractor has completed driving all the timber piles on the site, the deep foundation for the new building. The contractor is currently performing site work and forming up the building slab, along with installing new slab, plumbing, and digging the grade beams. The contractor has completed all electrical and plumbing rough-ins at building number 1 for the new restroom area, and they will also be closing up all the walls and performing all the exterior repairs and painting on the building. We've got some photos to show you all this month, just to give you all a little idea of what's going on. This is in building number 1 on the 2nd floor, where we're going to have that chairlift.
Picture of me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got you in the corner of that one, John.
But this is the elevator y'all were adding in the 2-story building in the front. Well, a chairlift to go out there.
At least we know you were at work.
So yeah, that's what it looks like on the 2nd floor right now. It's going to be nice and enclosed and look finished once it's all said and done. Right now it's just a roughed-in shaft. You want to go to the next one? There we go. So now you can see these are some photos from right after when they finished driving the pile on site. You see a pile out there, and then you can also see the barrier we have built along the kids' walk path from the main school that goes all the way back and around to the temporary building.
I'm going to stop you for a second. I have a question about the pollards, and since we're looking at them, whenever we had the land and facility meeting, when we talked about the pollards, we had a concern about some of them having to be done after hours.
Yes.
Did we end up having, was it a large amount that had to be done, or was it able to be done during?
So they actually had to drive all of them after hours. It took two days, a Saturday, a Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so 5 days total, which was actually shorter than we anticipated. Y'all approved a not to exceed price of $28,000.
Right.
And it was less.
We got the final cost, and I believe it was.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you asked, because I was going to bring it up at the end, just to keep y'all informed on it. The final cost was $19,575. So it was a saving, well, not a savings, but it was a difference of $8,730 from what y'all approved. So it did come in under. The contractor did a good job of getting it done quickly.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Not a problem. And that's just another photo looking a little bit further down the site. And this was a photo we took earlier this week. That's the building. I think they're about 90% complete with painting the exterior and changing out all the rotten wood siding that they had. And these are some more progress photos earlier this week. They've gotten onto the site. They put the foam boards up around the slab perimeter. They've got the cages for the grade beams built. They're currently roughing in all the plumbing in the slab along with the electrical. You'll see that over the next couple photos. And the contractor gave us a little update. I believe they are anticipating having slab roughing for plumbing and electrical completed September 20th and 21st. And then they're scheduled to begin pouring concrete the first week of October. We'll see that happening pretty soon. We'll have a slab, hopefully by the next meeting we meet. And soon after that, they'll start erecting concrete block walls, and we'll see it kind of coming along a little bit more. That's no yep. With that, any questions y'all have?
What question? I do want to tell you that we do appreciate the pictures a lot. It really brings it to life when we can see exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely. I'm going to try to have that every month. We all be able to see.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Item B is to consider a change order request for repairs for the St. Charles Elementary School classroom addition.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept a change order request in the sum of $21,597.15 and add 28 days to the contract for critical path delays due to FEMA EHP review at St. Charles Elementary School Classroom Addition. The breakdown of these change orders are 20,137 for critical path delays due to FEMA's EHP review. $1,459.95 is the professional fee increase for this. We have a credit of $7,940 for only using 365 of the total piles instead of 428. And then we will add 28 days to the contract, which will bring us up to date for that delay on the review.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Ms. Bourgeois, seconded by Mr. LaFont. Any public comment? Any board discussion? Okay, if not, we can go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 3 is All South, and A says to receive a report from Mr. Bob Bernard with All South Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. Good evening.
Thank you. First off, on behalf of All South, thank you all very much for the contract extension. We appreciate that very much. All right, so Central Lafourche and the 10 various sites. We met with management of Cotton 2 weeks ago. Remember, we talked about having some issues with being behind schedule and some problematic issues with supervision and superintendents, et cetera. So we got that worked out. We have a new superintendent, new project management, and so far so good. John, I think you would agree that what we're seeing is very good. Lots have happened in the last 2 weeks. So we're going to continue the push. What you see up right now is a tentative schedule of completion for each of the projects. Central Lafourche is going to be sometimes towards the end of November, right? A lot of work left to still do there, but they feel like they can get that done. And then the 10 various sites, by the time we meet here next month, we should be finished with that project. So that's going to take care of, everything but the big ones that we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's good news to report on those particular projects.
That's all, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's all the hurricane projects except for Golden Meadow to be rebuilt and Bayou Buff. That's all of Bayou.
The one that,
Well,
Wow.
yeah, that we get major milestone we're getting close to. Yeah.
with the exception, we're gonna be coming probably next committee with just a cleanup. While we were focused on all this, there's a handful of little stuff that was forgotten, so there will be one more item. This is everything.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we got the Duplantis Design Group. In fact, we have a kickoff meeting with them next week to go over all the miscellaneous projects, various repairs of different facilities. So that'll be coming up also. At Bayou Buff Elementary, we are having the bid opening sometimes in October for the demo. Notice to proceed would be sometimes around early December. So that's going to be happening pretty soon. As far as the new building, that's on hold. It's not on hold. It's construction documents are happening. It's moving, but we don't have a definite date yet on first bid advertisement. There's some things we need to work out between FEMA and some options we're going to be looking at on what we're going to do with the Red Schoolhouse. So there's still more work to be done on that before we give out a definite bid date for the rebuild of Bayou Buff Elementary. Golden Meadow Middle is pretty much the same way. We have the bid opening for the demolition package will be in October. It's out right now for advertisement. So that's demolition of building 3-6 and the surcharge that's likely to have to happen for the new building. There's some discussion going back between the surcharge and going with different size piling. We're going to be looking at lease costs to see which one's going to be the better option of the two. But more information will follow on that later. Again, Domain is working on the construction documents for the new building. Last we spoke, they were 90% complete. They're ready to put out the bid, but we have to wait on a couple of more things before we put it out officially. Again, there's some unanswered questions that we need to get resolved before that happens, but it's going to be happening sooner than later. Go to middle roof repairs. I think good news on this one. We worked out an agreement with the contractor, and hopefully they'll be started working in the next week or two. So also good news with that facility is we had no water damage from Francine. So that temporary roof held. I think they have one little piece that blew off and that was repaired. So yeah, we were worried about it, but it fared well. The press boxes, again, we're still waiting on FEMA for this one. We have a difference in cost. We talked about that last time. From our meeting this morning with our team, we're going to be escalating this in all likelihood to FEMA management. To move it, to try to get them to move on it. We're just not getting the response we need from a certain group, so we're going to have to escalate this and go a little bit higher and see if we can get some movement on the press boxes. Here in ROTC, still waiting on FEMA for this one also. So Daniel Bruce is ready. He's started the bid documents, but we're not ready to put it out just yet. So that too is a tentative bid date. And that's what I have on the last page. I'm not going to go over all of these, but that's what we have left to bid. So not a lot left. There's a couple other little projects we're going to be putting on there that's not listed. John mentioned one of them. We have a roof project that's going to be coming up. We're going to finish up the roofs and go to middle, and the hurricane Ida damages. That's going to be a separate bid package. So that's going to be forthcoming also. Okay. Any questions?
Mr. North, only because I know I'm going to get a call if and when FEMA gives the approval for the press boxes for baseball. What is the timeline? You know, is baseball season going to be over before it's built, or is it going to be done before? You know, is it 30 days to build it, 45 days to build it? Do you know?
I have an idea.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. So,
I'm not asking you to make it a date certain. That's all.
no, so from the contractor, this isn't telling, right, from the contractor from Grand Isle Shipyard, they're anticipating 3 months of construction. In all likelihood, yeah. With winter, bad weather, baseball starts in early February, it's going to be hard. And then do you start that and then stop and have to work around baseball season? I think the answer would be no. But I'm not making that call, obviously, right, because of safety and different things that you're going to be dealing with.
All of these that are FEMA waiting on are ready to go. Once we get the okay, right, we'll bring it to committee, then we'll go to full board, then we'll advertise, then we'll come back with the bid, accept, you know, so there's still our process to move it along, but we're ready once we have FEMA clearance.
Right. Okay.
I just want to thank Mr. Bob and Mr. John because the day after the hurricane, I ran into them at the Bayou Blue School, and they stopped to chat with me. They let me know that they're doing their assessments for a 4 o'clock meeting for that afternoon. So thank you for everything I did. That was quick response to get out and do what y'all need to do. Appreciate it.
Yeah, team effort and yeah, glad to help. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.
Number 4, new business. A, to receive a report from lead accountant Shasta Chasson in reference to ongoing project budget. Ms. Chasson?
Good evening. Here's my budget to actual reports for the major construction funds. For the 2017 bond, we had a total referendum of $19.5 million. Our total budgets for these projects are $19.5 million. Actual spent to date with encumbrances total $17.9 million. For the 2021 bond, We have a total referendum of 51.5 million. The total budgets are 51.5 million. Actual spent to date with encumbrances total 40.9 million.
Thank you very much. Item B, to consider a request from South Lafourche Bantam Football League to waive the fees for the use of facilities at South Lafourche High School Athletic Field for Bantam football playoffs.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept the request from South Lafourche Bantam Football League to waive the fees for the use of facilities at South Lafourche High School for the Bantam football playoff. I have confirmed from Mr. Bro that their insurance requirements have been met.
A motion by Mr. LaFawn and a second by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I had someone's name down, but I didn't know.
Grandy Moore, on behalf of Solid Food Bantam Football. Yeah, I know it was probably Elizabeth Daigle. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I don't see an Elizabeth. But yeah, she had got with me to give y'all a check for the 300, and then we had this notarized today. As far as, so who do I need to? Okay.
Mr. John.
Okay.
We could get that.
And I didn't, do y'all need anything else from, as far as?
We'll get with you.
Okay, and I really appreciate it, and thank y'all for waiving the fees, because, you know, as far as youth football, and we're very happy about that. Thank y'all.
Can I get okay, so we have a motion already, I'm
Yes.
sorry. All right, any further public comment? Okay, any board discussion?
I just wonder if the South Lafourche Bantam football team is going to find the facilities at South Lafourche High School sufficient, seeing that they just played in the Superdome.
Oh.
I mean, they've got a standard of play.
You're right.
I think that's awesome
Oh,
for the kids.
I know. Just them walking on the field is
I
like,
bet
oh.
that had to be such
Yeah,
a
seeing their
such a
eyes light up,
rush.
and their eyes will light up at the high school, just probably not as much. But.
John Kerry's field and the Veterans Stadium up against it.
I also want to say thank you because you guys do a lot for our kids.
Oh, well,
Thank you very much.
thank
That's
you,
very
thank you.
sincere. All right,
We'll get with you before you come.
Okay.
all right, any further board discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. And that item does carry. C, to consider a request from Central Lafourche Baseball Association to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Central Lafourche High School Athletic Field for baseball practice.
Mrs. McCann, the recommended action is to accept the request from Central Lafourche Baseball Association to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Central Lafourche High School Athletic Field for baseball practices. This has been confirmed with Mr. Bro that their insurance requirements have been met.
I have a motion by Mr. LaFont, a second by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment?
Brian, he's my guy, shop by Lane Racing. I appreciate it. I know you had some questions about the insurance, going out of date. It's not gonna go out of date. That's just our re-up.
Yeah, no, we've confirmed that it's all good.
Yeah,
All
Sean
good
wanted to make sure that you understood that. You know, it's about safety for our kids right now. I know Ida took a lot of our stuff down. We have backstops down. We have new dugouts being built. We have new awnings being built. Monday night, we try to hold a practice. I watched two parents trip. We're trying to make it safe for them. We have, you know, without the lights, it makes it really dangerous, especially towards the end of practice for them to get out of there. So we would really appreciate it if we would move this along. Thank you.
very much. Any other public comment?
Well, on Southgate, 110 Bourgeois Street, Racine, Louisiana. I just wanted to comment on the use of facilities request. I see Mr. Sean George and Zach Hill requested it, and I see the email is at ymail.com. I'm sure it's at gmail.com. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, and my next question is dates to be used September 24th through when?
We should not need it any further.
I'm sorry, but it's public comment, so you really cannot ask questions of other people like that. Like, it's time for you to make a comment, but you can't ask questions like that to
Okay,
other
that's all I
people.
wanted to.
Okay, thank you, we appreciate your comments. Okay, any further public comment? Any board discussion? With none, we're gonna go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Thank you very much. Item D, to consider a request from LA6 Volleyball to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Bayou Blue Middle School gym for volleyball practice.
Yes, the recommended action is to accept the request from LA6 Volleyball to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Bayou Blue Middle School gym volleyball practice. We are in the process of vetting their insurance, and before it proceeds, we'll ensure that it is vetted.
I have a motion by Mr. LaFont, a second by
Provided the insurance.
pending
Yes.
insurance. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
This
Seconded by Ms. Bourgeois.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Doesn't say it's not their first time, so we don't
Right,
foresee any issues.
and I think Ms. Terry is here to speak.
Yeah, so the insurance is done. I think they're just waiting for the correct certificate. So I should have that by tomorrow and I'll email that to y'all.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you, Ms. Terry. Any further public comment? Any board discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you all for helping our students to have something out of school, but still participating in sports and keeping them healthy. So thank you for that, all of you.
I agree. Keeping them busy, keeping them healthy, keeping them out of trouble. Thank y'all,
Yes.
all of you. Any further board discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. And that motion carries. Thank you very much. Item E, to consider the sale of surplus property adjacent to East Thibodeau Middle School.
Yes, Ms. Duncan, the recommended action is to accept the consideration of the sale of surplus property adjacent to East Thibodeau Middle School.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. LaFont, seconded by Ms. Bourgeois. Any public comment? Hello, if you don't mind, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Tim Robichaud, my address is 222 Rue Pelletier in Thibodeau. First of all, I just have to thank you for even considering this request. I know that the sale of property is not something that anybody really likes to do, but I'm requesting that you consider it. As my letter stated, I sent a letter to you. I don't know whether you did receive it, but I think you probably did. As soon as the middle school started being built, I started thinking about like we're landlocked at E.D. White. It would be nice if we had more property, and so I made this request. I do want to. Some of your concerns, I'm sure. I bet you probably the first thing to do if we sell this property is going to put a parking lot. Maybe he's going to put a parking garage. That is not even in the consideration right now. I can't promise what's going to happen 10 or 20 years from now. But I have decided we are not putting more parking at E.D. White. No matter how much we put, we will never have enough for any events that we have at the stadium. So actually, we're really landlocked. And if you look at our property now, we have just a very small piece of grass left. This would be really left for green space. It would I envision it being used for 8th grade football and soccer, and also track and field events like shot put, javelin, discus. I do not envision any type of buildings being built anytime in the near future. Again, I can't promise what's going to happen years from now. And I think you know that this property would be well kept. And I look at what you built. First of all, the middle school is beautiful. In fact, what you did to the grounds around the middle school was even beautiful too. And so I appreciate that as a citizen of Thibodeau. And but I'm not sure what your intent is with the property. So maybe you do have an intent to build something there, perhaps. I guess I'll just try to get on your emotional side and know that, if we did have that property, you will see students and it will be used for students and activities and events, and it would be nice to see that if in fact you had no intentions to build anything, it would be used. And I just want to make sure you understand that we're not going to be building anything on there. So I would certainly appreciate if you would consider selling it. But I do understand that that's not an easy decision for you to make, to sell property. I really understand it. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Robichaud?
It's such a beautiful piece of property. I know you can't guarantee it. I'd hate to see a parking lot or something.
Yeah.
Those trees are just so
Oh,
beautiful.
I know. That's why I think it's highly unlikely that you would see anything being built there for that reason. It's been, I envision us actually trimming back the trees a little bit and just making it just a beautiful piece of property. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Robichaud? I do have another public comment. I have a blue card. So if you don't mind, we're going to turn this over to our other public comment. If you don't mind, as you approach, please state your name and your address for the record. Come on now.
I live at 519 Buck Court, right here.
I'll take
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. I live at 519 Blake Court, across the street. Two things about the property. It's practically adjacent to my property. We would like to see it kept as green space, of course, but, there's progress that has to go on. 2 points. Drainage and flooding. Anything put on that property that's going to be elevated is just going to help us to flood more, which is exactly what we don't need. Jared, I showed you the pictures. Tina, I sent you the pictures.
And if anyone would like to see the pictures, I can share them with you.
It's a terrific problem. Several neighbors down the street, because of runoff, flooded. And several people have said the drainage for the new school, which is beautiful, works fine. Well, if you stood on my front porch, you wouldn't have seen the drainage working. So I'll point to Edie White and the rest of the people, we can't take on anymore. We need green space here. We need runoff. And the second point I'd like to make is I think the reason Edie White needs property is because the church sold property. Thibodeau College at the end of the street, Green Acres Nursery, the St. Joseph Manor, where St. Joseph Hospital was, Mark Carmel. Those were all church properties, and they sold them. I would not like to see this board make the same mistake and sell their property when they may need it in the future. So I'd like the board to consider that. Okay?
Appreciate you. Any other public comment? Board discussion? Yes, sir, Mr. LaFont.
I spoke to Mr. Martin about this afternoon, and he was kind enough to send me the picture showing everything before I saw it up here. And I did move to approve the sale. Be that as it may, I'm not sure I will vote on the motion itself when it comes before the board, but I think it's something that should go before the entire board and not 3 people decide whether it's for or against it, And I think both parties have made tremendous points here, and I think that's something that we're going to consider and look at. The price is something that we can use, especially with all the expenses we're going through. But I think we can always make a sale with a restriction. I mean, subdivisions have restrictions. Things have that, you know, hey, we'll sell it to you, but it has to stay a green space. Now, that may change their price, but there is something that could be done on that, you know? So, it's just things we can look at, we can bring to our council, things we can discuss, and things we can look at, you know, before we come to our board meeting, in October. So, I just wanted to say that I haven't really made my decision one way or another. I like the comments made by both parties. You both made outstanding points, and I just think we need to have the whole board consider that, and not just.
I disagree with that.
Okay, would you like, I have some things that I'd like to share, but I'll let you go first.
I'm glad that Mr. LaFont brought up that we could have restrictions attached to the sale. Because I know that Mr. Robichaud said, you know, the intent at this point is not to have construction there. But no one really knows what the future is going to bring. Without Mr. Nalke's commentary earlier, I already knew that Lake Court struggled with flooding. I've been here on a rainy day for a meeting where I saw neighbors out with rakes trying to clean catch basins to try and prevent their property from flooding. And, you know, it's not something that's unique to the street, but it's definitely a concern. You know, the more we develop and the more we progress, the more challenges those things bring. So I haven't made a decision on it either. You know, and when Mr. Martin and I first discussed it, that it was coming onto the agenda, I remember, you know, asking, you know, what were the pros and the cons? I mean, there's always some reason that you would want or not want to sell something. So I'm glad that we are looking at this from all sides, and like to continue to consider it, you know.
I have some thoughts that I've been putting down. I do want to share. With all due respect, I'm against the sale. If you were coming to us and asking us for a lease, I would be much more comfortable with that. First off, we just built a multi-million-dollar school, and basically what we would be doing is giving a major portion adjacent to that brand new school into control for somebody else. Like, somebody else can now do whatever they want to this land. Foreseeable future or near future, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, was to say down the road, someone else isn't there and they do something completely different. Obviously, if we want it to remain green space and you agree that you want it to be green space, then it should be LaFouche Parish School District's green space. Drainage concerns. My constituent graciously sent me pictures and it was really bad. And so in the future, if we do anything new, it could cause runoff. We don't have that, you know, that would be a big problem. And it would just back up even more for the people that live in this area. You know, we built this school and we promised these people green space. And now it's not even a year since we completed the school. We're already talking about handing the keys to kingdom to someone else. So I actually feel very passionate about that. I'm sorry. Once we don't have the land anymore, we can't get it back. And then we might also become landlocked in this area. What happens if central office needs to expand? What happens if our building down the road where we have our business department needs to be bigger or rebuilt? You know, right now we own that property. The minute we sign on a line and sell it to somebody else, we don't own it anymore. We give away all of those rights. So, like I said, I do feel very passionately about this, and I just wanted to explain my thoughts this way. I appreciate you coming and presenting to us, but with that being said, I am not going to be voting for a sale. Anybody else?
I agree with Mr. Henry. I think it should be the whole board that decides this. Yeah. So I will be voting for the motion so that we can bring it to the board.
I completely understand. I completely agree. Mr. Tim?
Yeah. I appreciate you, Ken, really. I just want to say that we would consider a sale with restriction.
Is there any consideration on doing a lease? Maybe a long-term lease?
When you tell me no, we're not selling it, I think there would be, at first, we would not, but I think we would definitely consider it. I think we would.
If we come to a point where we would consider a lease, I would absolutely support that, because we would have those restrictions and we would have control of that land. But that's just my that's my opinion. I just want to be open and honest with you.
I'm glad you.
Thank you very much.
Honest politics.
I'm an educator, I'm not a politician. I will always stand on my ground. I'm an educator, not a politician. All right, any further discussion? Okay, if not, we'll go ahead and we'll vote. And the motion does carry to go to the next board meeting. Recently in a class, I'll teach U.S. history, and I just taught imperialism. We talk about land, and there was a scramble to colonize land. Like Miss Marion said, you can't make any more. So, with that thought, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.